Good evening and welcome to the Untold. Today I have a very special episode for you because we have our very own Alnajjar as a guest. Aamnah is a TV producer for the show, but that's not all she is. Mashallah alayha. She is also a designer, artist, producer, writer, and visual storyteller. And she works with different mediums, content creation. I'm so impressed by her portfolio that we had to have her on the show. And I'm very curious to see where her creative spark came from. What inspired her to take this path to try so many different things and also excel at all of them? And with that, stay tuned for the episode. And we're back, and today we're joined by Alnajjar. Aamnah, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you. And Aamnah, you know, you're someone with many titles. You're a designer, artist, producer, writer, and you know, I kind of give a little shout out because you also produce for this show, don't you?
I do, yes, of course.
So how does it feel being in front of the screen rather than behind the scenes right now?
I feel like it's kind of strange for me because I'm usually used to being behind the scenes, but lately because of the workshops that I'm hosting, I've been more out there and trying to put myself more out there and socialize and, you know, things like that, but it's definitely something.
Well, I think it's going to be very fun to uncover the untold story of Alnajjar today.
Of course.
So, you know, before you became such a creative person with all your different kind of fields, who is Aamnah behind all of that?
Well, there's so many layers, so many layers to get into. So I would say Aamnah is someone who would find the beauty in everything she looks at. I've always romanticized life in the smallest details that you can find. Wherever I look, wherever I stare at, even if I just look up and look at the ceiling, I find inspiration there. Don't ask me how, I just do. And, you know, I just like to appreciate the small things in life.
Honestly, I can totally relate to that because I'm the same. I always see beauty everywhere. I feel like everything is art sometimes. And I think there's something special about noticing things, isn't there? Just
Definitely.
looking around and just seeing something pretty or beautiful and something people may not expect, or in things people do expect as well. There's just so much beauty in the world.
Definitely.
So I think it's really cool that you took that kind of interest and turned it into something as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, since you've explored so many creative fields, did you feel like you were always like this, or was it something that just happened because of all the things you like to try?
I mean, it's a bit of both, but mainly since I was a child, I've always liked some creative endeavors. I would always draw things, explore different mediums. As a child, I used to always draw like the mandala patterns. You know, I used to have full notebooks of just different variations of mandala patterns. I used to love drawing horses, although they were very crooked, and as well as Yorkshire dogs. Don't ask me why, I just used to do it all over, yani, all my notebooks from school, anything I have. But definitely since I was a child, it's not something that happened all of a sudden out of nowhere. It was always there within me. I always found beauty and appreciated art, you know. So as I was growing up, I started taking it more seriously, and that actually started and was ignited at uni. As you know, I started first majoring in English literature. It was fine, then kind of depressing.
Wait, why depressing? Because I made
yellow wallpaper.
Okay, yeah, no, that was yeah, I did that story. It was
like,
very
that's
depressing.
The start. I'm done with that. I'm not doing that again. So then I was like, okay, let me find something else more interesting and fun to stimulate my mind. So I went into translation and linguistics. Also fun. Kind of lacks the flair of like doing something creative.
I was gonna say like probably it's more like math almost, linguistics.
Kind of like syntax and things like
that.
It's
so difficult.
Yeah, you need to work your brain a
technical.
lot. You know, yeah. Doesn't really come naturally
no.
to me. Even like back in school, I went to a public school, but my favorite subject was English. Even though I never really understood anything in class, it just came naturally to me somehow. I used to watch a lot of interviews, shows with English subtitles, so I could get used to it and understand without having to translate anything. So I just get it from the context itself. So yeah, it was just, as they say, al baraka, you know.
So that's kind of when it became not something you just enjoyed, but something you needed, creativity and art.
Yes, and at that time I used to create for fun. Like I used to design small things for fun. I wanted to start like clothing brand. I feel like everyone once in their life like go through something like that.
I think I did
And
as
they need
well.
to create a clothing
Yeah.
brand for some reason. So then at the time at uni, I was I think in my second year in linguistics and translation. Then I saw a friend of mine, she was like working on a project, and I was like, oh, that looks cool and cute. What is that? And she's like, I'm just finishing up a project to submit. And I was like, excuse me, I did not hear you. You get graded for that. And she's like, yeah. And I was like, take me there immediately. I need to
Now,
transfer my
immediately.
major because I could never continue with something other than that. And then when I went to the advisor, and he's like, you're very much in luck because it was the only time that I could ever transfer my major into that,
Wow.
because one course beforehand or afterwards I wouldn't be able to, nothing is aligning. So it was the perfect time, and ever since it was heaven for me. It was so much fun. Nothing felt like it was a project or an assignment or even a final, you know what I mean? Like it was all just fun and purely experimental. And onwards, I became an A student, an honors student after transferring my major, which was a big sign that it was my thing.
No, mashallah, even the fact that it was the only time that you could do it, I think
Yeah.
sometimes things don't work out and then they do work out and everything
Yeah.
happens for a reason, always.
Definitely, yeah.
And so you transferred to what was it, fashion?
Visual communication.
Visual communication.
Yes. So we did a lot of branding, editorials, typography, cinematography, photography, things like that. So, we explored a lot of the creative fields, like different things from the creative field. So, later on I would pick the things that I really enjoyed the most, and I felt like I was gravitated towards more. But although all of them were very entertaining and very fun to experience, during college. So yeah.
I mean, it's pretty fun that you got to try so many different things in one degree that all
Yeah.
kind of reflect different sides of art or creativity, and in a way that like you actually enjoyed. I feel like a lot of people, they go into stuff they enjoy, then they start to hate it because it becomes work. But it seemed
Yeah.
like it was the opposite for you, or did you ever feel that way as well?
As they say, you never work a day in your life if you're doing something you love.
Very
So
true.
I'm very grateful.
No, I mean, it's a cliche because it's true.
Yes,
It does
is.
make so much sense.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that you got to pick certain things that you really loved out of those. What were they?
I mean, after I graduate,
Yeah.
it was mainly designing and branding. It was a lot of fun, exploring different variations and, experimenting with different mediums and things like that. And also motion graphics it was a lot of fun. But it takes a lot of work and practice to like get things right. But mainly I focused on branding, and visual identities and things like that.
Honestly, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And from all those creative fields like designer, artist, producer, writer, is there one that you felt is the most you?
I think I would say being an artist, because painting or drawing, whatever medium I used, I feel like it's very cathartic. You know, usually for me, I do have synesthesia, so it's from
Amazing.
sound to color. Usually when I listen to music or hear something, I immediately visualize, I see visuals, when you close your eyes. Some people do have it, some people do not. When you close your eyes, you see like patterns moving or different shapes or things like that. So when I listen to music, I experience that. I see clear visuals in front of me. So one day I was like, okay, I need to manifest that into an actual thing so I can see it in front of me and not just visually like seeing it without even having something tangible to hold, So I started exploring that more. I started drawing fluid art as from a point where I just draw freely, and then it comes all together and you can see different shapes, and each and every person interprets it differently, Like I see one thing, you can see something entirely different depending on what you're feeling when you're looking at the piece. So that was the beauty of creating fluid art.
Well, I think that's actually one of the most gorgeous things about art is that it is subjective. You can look at anything, like I'll look at it, someone else will look at it, based on your emotions, your perspective, your experiences, and you can see 100 different interpretations, which I think is really amazing.
Yeah.
And I do have to say, though, I am very jealous you have synesthesia, because when I was a kid, I read a book about it and I really wanted to have it because it sounded so cool, the way that things were described. So I feel like that gives you such a unique perspective on how to create your art.
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes, yeah. I did not really realize that I had it until like later on, maybe around 5 years ago, let's say, because as a child, I never really understood what that was. I used to always see things and like, whenever I close my eyes, I visualize, or, when I was a child and riding in the car with my sister or my mom, they play music and then I just sit and relax and close my eyes and I just see whole scenarios and different things. So later on, I started seeing it clearer and clearer. It was the image was right there. I cannot really ignore it. Even when I'm driving, like I see it right in front of me. That does not mean that I cannot drive correctly, like, or, be distracted by that.
Disclaimer.
Disclaimer. But it is an experience. It's such a fun thing to have, not gonna lie, because, as you said, it gives you a different perspective into how you see things. And yeah, glad to have it.
No, I think it's really cool. And I love that you're able to take your creativity in so many different ways. Because you like to do so many different things, do you ever feel like it's hard to become good at one thing? Or is it fine?
Honestly, I do not really believe in becoming good at something when it comes to creativity, because when you're creating, in a creative field or whatever it is, you're most importantly have to do it for yourself before doing it for others. Because once you do it for yourself and you're enjoying it without even thinking that you need to perfect it or anything, you should just be happy with it. And that fulfillment is more than enough. I do not really think, oh, I'm not good at this, I'm not gonna succeed at that, it's not good enough. At the end of the day, creativity is all about experimentation. If you feel like you're not comfortable with that medium, you're not comfortable in that field, it's okay. There's so many other things you can do, so many fish in the sea, basically.
That is so true. And I think that's a really wonderful perspective to look at things through. Because even as kids, we all do creative things for fun. We're not trying to be good at them.
Definitely.
And that's something that gets, I think, lost when you get older. So I love that you've stuck to this mentality and it's allowed you to actually pursue so many different things. We are going to take a very quick break, though. Then I hope we can dive into this a bit further. So stay tuned for after the break. And we're back from that short break. And Aamnah, honestly, it's been really fun talking to you about your creative journey. And I love what you said before the break about how you don't care about being good at stuff because that's not what creativity is for.
Yeah.
You need to just kind of enjoy it and try things out. And I fully believe in that. I mean, I myself used to have an issue because I was a major perfectionist growing up. So there was
Been there, done that.
Yeah. So I would do some stuff and be so good at it.
Yeah.
And so I would keep doing it. But then some stuff I wasn't good at, I just kind of gave up. And looking back, I wish that I hadn't, because I do know that a lot of it is consistency, isn't it?
Definitely. Yeah.
The more you practice something, the better you become at it. And that's something I think people are not taught enough about creativity or art in general.
Yeah.
Do you feel that way?
I mean, yeah, a lot of people have the misconception of when you're creating, you need to do it perfectly or don't do it at all, which is very much untrue. In a strange way, kids do inspire me, even though I do not really like kids for the most part.
Why though?
Kids have a lot of curiosity. Growing up, they do not really have any limitations. They create just for fun. And that what makes them great at it. They just enjoy what they're doing purely out of excitement and experimentation. They just come up with things that would blow your mind, and you're like, where did they come up with that? It's such an insane concept, but they have the freedom of creating without judgment, without worrying who might judge them, without worrying if it's good enough for someone. They just do it for the sake of having fun. And I think a lot of adults should really practice doing it more just for fun, because my whole journey literally started because I wanted to do it just for fun. Creating the journal, pouches, different art mediums, whatever it is, even if one piece failed, it's okay. It was like a learning point for me. So next time when I do it, I know what my mistakes were and then fix it, do it better next time. Even if it doesn't happen next time, it's okay. I would just be proud of myself because I made something myself. You know, I created it with my own hands. So I think a lot of adults should really listen to kids more often.
Girl, I'm so proud of you, first of all, that you have that mentality that you're like willing to just be proud no matter what the outcome of what you
It
create
wasn't
is.
like that, trust me. That
Yeah.
took a lot of practice to get to this point. Because just like you, I was a perfectionist before, and you know, OCDing, and if that line wasn't straight enough, or if the spacing was off, or whatever it is, I would like crash out, and then I was like, no, I don't want to do this anymore. And then I started just letting go of that. You know, I just took a deep breath, relaxed, took a break, like a 5-minute break, and then I did it again. But this time without any expectations of whatever the outcome is. I just started experimenting. And then I realized that it's so much better and way more fun to do it that way rather than just having big expectation, and then when the result does not meet the expectations, you feel kind of disappointed. So yeah, I had to overcome a lot when it comes to perfectionism, but it's definitely something that you can practice and get better at, to not be such a perfectionist all the time. Sometimes you just need to let go and enjoy the moment in whatever you're doing, and that's what really matters, as long as you're enjoying it.
No, that's so wise. It took me a very long time myself to kind of overcome that and go back to kind of doing the things I did as a kid, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And not caring that it looked like a 5-year-old drew it, or, you know, it looked like my siblings will make fun of me sometimes and they'll be like, what is this? And I'm like, it doesn't matter. I had fun.
Exactly.
You
It
know?
doesn't have to make sense to anyone. You know, there's this thing that I created also. I call them kitty this and kitty that. I started drawing freely. One day I was like, I don't really know how to draw like realism, like realistic faces, animals, whatever it is.
Very
So I was
hard.
like, what would little Amna do?
Aw.
You know, how would she draw? How would she experiment? So I just started going at it, you know, without any expectations. I just drew freely. I started drawing these cats and then shading them and like adding little details to them, like that makes it unique as it is, you know, something that feels like me, you know. So I just enjoyed it deeply, and then I shared it with the world, and didn't really get that much, you know, love. I was
Aw.
like, okay, who cares? I like it, I enjoy it.
I mean,
I
it
should
sounds
continue.
adorable to me.
Very much. And then I kept going. I kept drawing these cats, and I started making collections. I started asking the audience for, you know, suggestions, or what would they want to see, you know, a ballerina cat, a tiger cat,
Aw.
you know, whatever it is, like anything they can come up with, I would just try to implement it without having any expectation or rules or guides into drawing it. I would just do it freely, and I started getting really good at it, you know, the sizing, the measurements of like where I place everything, and you know, it's just now with practice it got a lot better. So yeah, you should always try to draw like a kid. It will get you somewhere.
I mean, first of all, I love the whole concept that you just talked about. Sounds so cute, so fun, so fresh.
Yeah.
And I can see how people can relate to it or interact with it. And it's always the simple things that kind of go far, I feel.
Yeah.
And even what you said before, I want to go back to what you mentioned about children and how they inspire you because of how free they are in their mentality. It's actually how I felt at one point during my university degree, because I chose to do my master's in children's literature. And it's because I had some dark period with like my mental health at one point, and I had to kind of refine my spark, you could say.
Yeah.
And it took me going back to what I loved when I was younger and why I loved this degree in the first place, why I loved all the things I was doing. And just how when you're a kid, life is still difficult when you're a kid, but it's so simple because of how present you are.
Yeah.
And how you're very in the moment and you're very much willing to try things, experience things, love things. Like you don't really care so much about the perfectionism of it all. You're just kind of having a good time.
Exactly.
So I thought that was just something I could relate to in what you said, which was really fun. And you know, on a side note, if someone only knew you through your portfolio, what would be something that they'd be very surprised to know about you?
Honestly, if my portfolio was done already. Been working on it for years, but only to ensure that it represents me exactly as who I am, all the elements that I love and everything. But I think I honestly have no answer to that, because my portfolio would very much represent me. It wouldn't be, all bland, dual tone, like two colors and that's it, and everything is minimalistic. I'm very much a maximalist when it comes to that and designing and things like that. So I enjoy a lot of details, everything, every single bit that would define me as a person. You would definitely find it there.
Well, I think that's brilliant that it represents who you are, and I think that's how it should be, honestly.
Yeah.
I kind of want to talk a little bit about, your role as a TV producer, because you are one for this show.
Well, I am.
So what's that like for you from a creative standpoint?
I mean, when I first started, it was a completely different experience for me, coming from a creative background and studying something completely different, I was very much willing to experiment and try something new. When I was looking for a job, I was open to doing anything. I started with marketing actually, at a company, and then I got the opportunity to come here as well and explore what I could do here. So I was like, okay, yeah, I really enjoy that. So I came here and I started producing. At first, I had to observe a lot. I had to learn about all the guidelines and rules and restrictions that goes into creating a show. Okay, I had to understand a lot of the fundamentals when it comes to TV, you know. There are so many ways into being a producer. You can work on a show where you can have it be guest-based, or let's say just the host talking, discussing different topics and matters. But it is definitely a very enjoyable experience to work as a producer, because sitting behind the scenes and all, and having a lot of guests, you genuinely get to meet a lot of amazing people and getting a lot of opportunities just by talking to people. I am very much an introvert, or at least I was, when I came into the ministry. I had a big fear of talking to people, like, how am I gonna approach them? What am I gonna say to them? How is this gonna go? I feel very awkward, being an introvert normally. And then when I started doing it more and more, my personality started to change. I started getting more comfortable talking to people, talking, and discussing different matters, and finding the right questions to ask the guest, having every single script be tailored to the guest itself, so they can enjoy the experience as well, and not have it be something that's very bland and basic, have a little spice to it, a lot of unexpected questions, or something that truly brings out who they really are, so they could have as much fun as possible doing something like this. So this experience working as a producer, it's such a great thing to do. I never really expected it to be like that. Never really expected that we do have something like that in here, but I truly do enjoy it.
I mean, just so you know, being on the receiving end of your questions, I've always enjoyed them, and I feel like you always pick really great guests. So it's been so fun getting to interview you and seeing another side of you, you could say, and learning more about your own projects. And I kind of feel like we're going to end up having to do a part 2 in the future, because we've barely scratched the surface, I feel. But we are unfortunately out of time for today. And I want to thank you for joining us, and it's been so much fun.
Thank you so much for having me. It was such a wonderful experience being in front of the camera for once.
How does it feel now? Does it feel more normal?
I mean, I guess I can experience what the guests truly experience.
Kind of will help you for the future with them as well, actually.
Yeah, I can understand them more now.
Well, it's been so much fun talking to you. And with that, stay tuned for after the break. And we're back from that break. And I think that today's episode with Aamnah was so special, so wonderful, so inspiring. Aamnah is such a light, and the way that she pursues creativity is just so fun and playful, and something I think all of us should kind of uncover in ourselves. Her untold story, I think, also is still a lot to be told, so we might even have her for another episode, to be determined. But everything I learned from her today is that You need to have fun. You need to kind of pursue your childhood interests. You need to kind of follow your heart as well. She has so much passion. She's so authentic in what she does and who she is. And I think that helps her overcome so much. And it was so cool getting to see her in front of the screen instead of behind the scenes for once. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. I know I did. See you next time.